Open that up, full screen. Hit your pause button over there. Talk great. Call meeting to order, 5:02 PM. All right, I'll start with the select board names, please.
Scott Morley, Select Board.
Karen Keeman, Select Board.
Eddie Fournier, Town Administrator.
Daniel Rondo, resident.
Is received a constable.
Chris,
Chris Roy, town resident and news correspondent.
Praneeth Menon, school director.
Matt Projeski, assessor. Matt Maxwell, town administrator.
Richard Hancock.
Okay, first up, changes or additions to the agenda. There's no warrants for the meeting tonight, and those will be in Thursday, so you know, Deb reminded me.
Yep.
Okay. Allow for public comment. Okay. And first up, we have Praneeth Menon with a school board update.
Hey, guys, thank you for letting me come and speak again, because I'll keep doing this every 3 or 4 months. So right now, we had a great start to our school year, although at the NCSU side, there was the bump that happened in the high school and things went reasonably well, given what happened. But probably get a great start. We had an open house recently. It was well attended. We did a little Title One's meeting for folks there as well. Looking forward this year, we have our own buses and our own bus drivers. So our bus schedule has gotten, well, better from what we hear. And so that's a positive thing. In addition to that, I'm sure you guys are all wondering about what's going on with Act 73. It went into effect July 1st. The way it stands right now, they have classroom size minimums, district size minimums of 4,000 to 8,000. A foundation funding formula, which we're just starting off at about 15,000 as a base value, and then to that they'll add in weights depending on rurality, how far apart things are, income levels, things like that. In addition to that, there's a redistricting task force that is currently putting together multiple different maps for what the new school districts might look like. And so they are planning on coming up with at least 2 maps, one which will be school districts and the other one will be larger supervisory unions, like the way we have it. Our concern on the NCSU side with school districts is that, first of all, we might end up losing our voice because the local school boards will be advisory. Budgets might get passed based on voting wards versus towns. So it could be that part of our town is in another voting ward. We'll have to see how that kind of works out. The taxes that we end up paying will not just be for our town school, but for a much larger district. And so that's one aspect of it. 2, if we just go with a redistricting with a new school district, which is much larger, in order to get 4,000 students, we'll at least have to try and combine NCSU, Essex North, and possibly Oxu. And with the 3, we might barely hit 4,000, and that's a huge area, especially for those out in Essex North, where they actually end up changing a lot of their kids to New Hampshire, in fact, because they don't have the schools available. So there's some consternation from that standpoint. Bus travel distance standpoint, how much are kids going to be traveling, and if they have to travel that far, what's going to happen to after school programs, right? Like someone has to bus for 2 hours, they're not going to wait for sports or anything along those lines at the end of the day. So there are a lot of concerns, and with that, we at the NCSU kind of organized a meeting with Essex North, Kingdom East, and Oxu, and it was attended by lots of staff, lots of administrators from all over the Northeast Kingdom. And we put together a working group that we're lovingly calling the redistricting working group on our end. So I've been leading that with the other 2 schools, and our plan is we've been gathering a whole bunch of data from where our schools have been going through cost data, tuition data, career center seating data, and a whole bunch of stuff, basically to come up with a position paper where we're going to be telling them we're not really a big fan of this larger school district concept, but so we would like to remain as an SU, which each of our school boards, each of the local school boards at the NCSU and the whole NCSU together has actually passed a resolution along those lines, saying that we want to remain an SU. However, if we are to get some cost savings and we have to merge, there's this Act 168 that came out a few years ago, which opens up the concept of Board of Cooperative Educational Services. What that basically means is we can remain as SUs as we are, and then we'll just create an additional board on top with which we can start sharing services, things like alternative placements, maybe figure out IT stuff, maybe figure out staffing across multiple places, you know? That may save some money, but again, we don't really see it saving a whole lot. And again, the main reason for our concern, one of the main reasons for our concerns is that even if we end up redistricting and, you know, they talk about all the cost savings, there's a huge possibility that schools that are lower spenders right now will actually end up seeing their taxes go up. Because they'll end up getting a surplus from, you know, their rurality and everything that they have. They may not need that money, but they'll still get the money, and so they're, you know, they're on for the taxes. So there are all these concerns. We're gonna send in our solution paper to the task force and really have them consider a BOCES map or come up with something new. There's a general feeling at the superintendents and administrators level that Act 73 is here to stay. And that one way or another, we're going to be seeing some sort of changes coming up. By the time the whole thing goes into effect, it will probably be about 2028, but things will be happening between 2026 and 2028 as far as kind of all the transition work, so. That's where we're at with all of that. Any questions?
I have a comment.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Coventry's very fortunate to have you.
I appreciate that.
Sitting there and helping us and communicating as effectively as you are, and you know, just doing this and helping us all absorb what little small parts of it we can over time. It makes it more true for us, and so.
Well, I appreciate you guys giving me the time here, and that it kind of, you know, takes up from all the other business, so, thank you. Chris?
Mr. Chair, did I hear you say you had a smooth start considering what happened? Or did I mishear that?
I'm sorry, what was the question? Or was it him?
No. No,
It's to you for
no,
you.
did you say that we had a smooth start to the school year considering something?
Oh, that was at the NCSU on the high school side where they had the bomb threat. Yeah, it wasn't for us. It was
Yeah, you're talking about the SU as a whole.
as a whole, our school as well. I'm wearing multiple hats right now, so it's all the stories kind of start to mix.
Right, but you comment, you didn't have going to walk down during the bomb threat at North Country, did you?
No.
Yeah, okay, I didn't think so.
Thank you.
Can I just break a rule? Why not, right?
Why not?
You understand?
I know it's not on there. Can we just for 5 minutes or so, because I'm expecting you're gonna try to leave this room for me at any moment. But you had our first finance committee meeting. Who was involved today? Carrie?
Mhm.
And who else? A few of you guys, right?
Yeah, David, Praneet, and Dan.
Sat in as a public.
Oh, okay. Can you just give us 5 minutes of a lowdown?
5 minutes.
Well, I mean, 5 seconds.
I did a lot of listening and I got here
Okay.
late, so Praneet would do a better job.
Oh, give it.
Or Dan.
Just whoever. Oh, come on.
But you didn't make it into a
That
paper,
wonderful diagram.
your paper airplane.
So, yeah, I was gonna make it a paper airplane, so basically, I mean, I don't know. But, the concept was that we would like Westview to get us some projections of where our investments will be based on our current municipal operations funding. We're not going to be taking capital improvement projects into account, right?
Step one.
Step one.
Good.
So the conversation there was when they do give us that. When they give us those projections, we would like to see, instead of giving us one number, maybe kind of give us a range, because we want to see reality versus. Typically, what, in my opinion, what happens if we give one number, that becomes gospel, and now we're trying to go
Sure.
over that thing, right? And so
Good.
this would be, let's get a range, and then, once we get those numbers, we can provide the townsfolk, and if you want to explain that to you real quick. Way we're looking at it, we've got operational stuff, we've got investment and capital. Those are the three ways money goes out of our
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So David can provide last 5 years of data.
Yeah.
For the operation stuff. We take that and we shove it into their Monte Carlo simulation.
Yeah.
With which basically we'll get like a median line of where it might be and the two worst and, best case, worst case scenario of where it's going to end up. And then based on that, we can use those numbers to inform the townsfolk of, hey, if we spend this much on our capital improvement, this is where our investments will be. But the first step would be, will we even make it there based on where we are?
Right.
So if we just use the operational fund or the operational expenses, as David was saying, it'll at least give us an idea of what the town's expenses just in general would be and how much we need to put in there to get longevity out of our investments.
Yeah. Great first
Does that
step.
make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah. So that was the bulk of the conversation today,
Yeah,
other
a
than
lot
just
of it was-
forming together. Today
Yeah.
was the first meeting, right?
And two, when you're done, sorry. Praneet did a great job, but we were also talking about the town report. This is, Westview is gonna put together an introduction page and also a page with some of the projections that Praneet was talking about for this year's town report. So,
Wonderful.
and then, the plan was, right, to meet once a month.
At least once
is
a
what we
month if
agreed
we
on
can.
At the same time before the select board meetings. That's kind of what we got to today.
And if we need to meet more often, we can. If we need to do some, back channel work through just emails and checking reports and stuff like that, we can do that too. So
So in a general sense, it's good, right?
Yeah.
And we're gonna,
That's-
hopefully the design of it will pull some folks in.
Yeah.
From elected officials.
Yeah.
To sit together, communicate, help the board.
Yeah.
To think some of these long-term strategies.
yeah, it was a fantastic idea on your part. I think this is what we actually need is
Yeah.
having everybody talking about this.
Yeah.
So one thing I would suggest though is that we should try and increase our engagement. And I know that 4 o'clock on a Monday might be hard for people to show up at. So maybe you might want to rethink meeting times because planning commission is a very big part of it. And as Dan just kind of brought up, they're getting into their 5-year plan.
Mhm.
So having them here to be able to give that input would be quite crucial, right? And I've got the school side covered to a certain extent, although our budgets don't really align as much except for the EDP stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever
It's your thing, so whatever works.
Right.
For all of
We
you
may need
guys.
to revisit the start time too with the overlap, because I think we're gonna have meetings that are longer than an hour.
I hear
So
you.
that may be a good idea that it's not running into the select board.
Right.
Right, I mean, there's Westview's hours too, right? Like if
Right, exactly.
we don't wanna go beyond like 5:30 unless, I don't know if their contract to come and talk to us anyway, so that'd be fine. But no, I think the more we can talk about it, the better it will be, and yeah, I think it's more transparency, right? And
Yeah.
so we did kind of talk really quickly about process too, so I think just to kind of make things official, if we're recommending things to the select board. I think we as a committee will kind of vote on it to be like, hey, this is what we're telling, sending up there, and you guys can do with it what you want at that time.
Yeah.
But at least there'll be records of what we have done in addition to the minutes that Ed be keeping for us.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very, very much, all of you that are involved and hopefully more in the future, right?
Thanks for setting that.
More the merrier.
I learned a lot in an hour.
Yeah, you do, you get a lot.
I thought you were gonna be on the committee.
I'll listen, jumped at the chance, so I was happy to let her. sit
Oh,
on
yeah.
it.
Yep, good.
But I will be probably
Fitting
in
in.
this room
Yep,
regardless.
good,
So
good.
that's what I was gonna call, was if she's gonna jump on the board and I'm planning on being there anyway, that's just an extra person in the room with
Mhm.
an extra opinion.
Awesome,
It's good.
thank you very much.
Okay, my
Yep.
apologies before we start the next one, also via Zoom, we got Melanie Rodzinski and Deb Tangley with us. And the next one is grant reporting update with Melanie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi Melanie,
Hi,
Hello.
everybody.
how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Ed, did you print out that report for them?
Yes, I printed out a copy for each member, so they have that.
Okay.
Got it.
All right, so I think Scott is the one that's primarily seen like draft 1 of this report. This is just a second draft with primarily just changes to the first page because the first page wasn't informative in the first draft. But it's just important to know that this really is just a second draft. There's formatting, there may be things that Ed wants to see on here, or that the board wants to see on here that are not on here now. And so basically it starts off with page 1 that gives just a snapshot of the grants that you have ongoing right now. And the projected cost is we'll have to decide whether you want to see budgeted cost or whether you want to see basically the maximum cost that the award is based on. And maybe we want another column for your budgeted cost after the maximum allowed cost. That's one thing to consider. The grant award is generally, it's either a flat amount or it's based on a percentage of the proposed expenditures. So there's a column for how much you reasonably are awarded as a maximum amount. The first one's actually a good example, the brick grant, and I think you're approving that LHMP tonight. Is on the schedule. So you were allowed up to $8,300 towards this project, and it seems like the bid that came in was just over 8,300. I was just at 8,300, and you had an award of 8,363. So you're only going to get $6,225 back, and you did receive $6,225 already for this grant. So it's all completed and reimbursed, and it's all closed out. There's a question of did you intend to spend 11,000, but the bid came in lower? Did you realize that you weren't going to get 8,300 if you didn't spend 11,000? That type of a point of reference. I didn't know what the board's understanding was when they receive grants, that they don't just automatically get the maximum, or it's based on your actual expenditures.
Well, that's a great point. I think sometimes things just are going by us so fast that we don't think out the finer detail. I think you're absolutely right. And so having that extra column probably would be important to create the conversation.
Yeah, so and like if you go to page 2, this is just a little bit more detail on that particular grant. It tells you the purpose of why you have the grant. And it's basically to make sure that when you have disasters like you had for FEMA, that you get the state's portion increased from 7.5% to 12.5%. It didn't end up being relevant for your July 23 because of some administrative decisions that happened at the state, but for future disasters, it's important that you keep current on this plan, and that's why you're doing the plan. And so here, when you talk about the funding sources, it does outline that, okay, the general fund absorbed $2,075, and the other $6,225 was paid by the state. And we'll see this as you go into other grants. You may have a decision that says, okay, where is that 2075 really coming from? Did you want it to come out of a reserve? If it was a capital project, did you want it coming out of another place? And so for discussion purposes, you can go ahead and outline where you believe that you're going to fund the unfunded portion of your projects in these individual sheets. And so the intention is for it to be really collaborative, particularly with the town administrator. When you get new grants, sending copies of the grant agreements to me so I can add them to the list. And then I'll be able to monitor sort of the funding pieces of it. And also the town administrator will be submitting the grant reimbursements, the quarterly reports that are necessary. And so this list just kind of keeps a list in front of them and knows what still needs to be submitted and whether you have money back yet or not from these sources.
That was one of my concerns for quite a while, which is knowing that we have reimbursables, but not ever really being able to put my finger on, have we received it or not? And I think some of those are gonna go across fiscal years. And so just having this exactly how you've put it in front of us is where my mind has been for a long time.
Right, and that this first one that we're talking about, the brick, yeah, I think you had that work done like last October.
Yeah,
And it was one of those things that just didn't get requested until recently. And so now you spent the money last year, but you received the reimbursement this year, and it creates a misalignment
right,
of when you spent the money and when you received the money. The biggest example of that right now is, of course, the FEMA reimbursement for the Coventry Station Road. And so those projects just naturally go out over several years. And so hopefully you'll get those last of those funds in this fiscal year. I don't know, Ed or Matt, if you've heard anything from the state about the status of that.
Coventry Station Road,
No,
no,
no, good big file on that one.
yeah,
Yeah, so and in this I've projected out what I believe the town will ultimately receive when you're done, because the initial disaster, they started off with 75% that they would forward to you. And then they went ahead and trued it up to the 90% by giving you an extra 5,000 along the way. And then so all of your reimbursements so far have been based on a 90% rate. And so they're kind of holding out the rest of the 10% is sort of what you're waiting on. And then also the 10% of FEMA funds, and then you're also waiting on your ERAF from the state of Vermont. So I think you'll get about 284,000. And so that's important. I don't know if you've looked at the fiscal year 25 financial results, but the budget for particularly in the highway section was you're going to buy a truck for 275,000, and you ended up taking some of that money instead out of the equipment reserve. I think for the actual truck itself.
right,
And then you overspent because you had to spend this money on these FEMA projects and didn't have the money back yet. But the highway was really short this money. And so as you know, like Scott's been saying, like we need to come up with planning, we need to come up with capital planning, we need to come up with a situation where we understand that we haven't spent money yet, but we're getting money back, to figure out really where you are, because the current financial reports don't tell the full picture. And so that's where these grant reports can sort of bring it into alignment, say, yeah, I know that it looks like we were short last year, but we have this other money coming back.
yeah, that's a really good point, because it can be misleading. If you're not looking ahead at future funding. Going to the FEMA that you were just talking about with an anticipated, our belief is we're owed about 284,000.
Right.
That we've put out, that we've laid out. And so drilling down into that each time and keeping this a living document allows us to have those conversations all the time and educate ourselves out and listen to folks and have that conversation, because that's over $250,000. You know, most towns don't get that chance. And so it gives us the chance to say, how did we expend the money? What accounts did we use it from? Do we want to have an adjustment with our accounting on that? There's a lot of discussion that should have happened there.
And when you look at the actual revenue compared to budget for your landfill fees, you were way under. And so really understanding that you know that money didn't come in, and it really didn't actually come in, and you had to make choices. You had to choose to take money out of the reserve in order to pay for the truck and things like that. So it's just a good financial management tool to be aware that while you might not have the money now, you'll hopefully have it back a little bit later.
Right. Yeah. I think it's great. This is something that's been long in coming.
Yeah, it's the first time I've seen it, so I'll definitely look it over, and I like the description of what each of the
Right. tell you what you're looking at.
Don't have to stop and think about what was that FEMA one for? Well, that one was for compensation.
Yeah,
I appreciate
and
the description.
yeah, and so I think what I would like to see on this first page, something that doesn't stand out to me at least, is like, is it 100% funding? So your MERP energy programs, the 3 buildings, like
Yeah.
you're going to get all of that back, and that might not be evident even though you have total expenditures of 33,000 and you have receivable of 33,000. I like having the percentage there, so that's something that I'd like to incorporate, just a quick percentage on the face, just so that you have the snapshot of what to expect, even though it is in the details. And just so you know, like these 9 pages are just like summary pages. There's a different set of tabs sort of in the Excel that deal with the minutia of this invoice was paid on this date for this amount, and things like that. So there's definitely some backup to all of this, and I wouldn't call it, completely audit ready backup, but it'll be a situation where you're able to be like, okay, these are all the numbers that went into these expenses this year, and here are the invoices. So if somebody needs to look at them, then they know right where they are instead of having to go find them.
Thank you for bringing that up. That's another point I wanted to make, which is, we're always potentially subject to an audit, state and federal grants. And I think it's safe to say that we're evolving here, and we haven't prepared ourselves in the past for that eventuality. And so a big part of this project, and Melanie, is to do exactly that. So the work is already done and it's already hand ready. So when those eventualities come, we can just hand that over and go through that. And it stands local tests. We can go back and forth with it and understand it. And so if there's any mistakes or things that we've missed, we can catch them. So thank you very much for that, Melanie.
Are there any other questions or requests? You can send them to me directly, send them through Ed. There's a little bit of homework on there for Ed in yellow. I let him know that there's a couple things where I don't have numbers yet, but we'll be able to, they have Matt's name on them because they're from before, but yeah, we'll work together and fill in the blanks and come up with something that is useful. And hopefully it's also useful for Ed incoming to just sort of have the nuggets of these things and not have to wade through a full grant agreement and get the sense of the project.
Thank you.
Yeah, that looks really good.
While we have you, Melanie,
Sure.
thank you for being with us tonight. I know we've talked quite a lot recently, and we adjusted ourselves at the community bank on signatories. But if it hasn't happened yet, that conversation is coming with you involved around the current bill pay structure. David is he with us?
Yes,
Yes, yes.
Where is he?
He's called town treasurer.
Can't see
to the
him.
right on the bottom.
Oh, yeah. Hi, Dave.
I can't see Dave. Oh, there, now I can.
So I don't know.
Hi.
There he is. Hi, Dave.
Greetings.
Have we begun that conversation with you guys all together, or where are we at with that?
Well, we've certainly gone through the part about now that I'm signing checks, what our individual roles need to be in terms of the general ledger and reconciliations.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you know, but I was there all day last Friday in the office, working on audit prep and going through a few things with David and just getting ready. So we did have the opportunity to have that conversation. He let me know that change was at least in the works. He had just dropped off the signature cards. And so our plan will be for the September month end to convert to the other reconciliation process that we had talked about previously. And you did go ahead and get the audit scheduled. You have the preliminary requests, but then in November, they're gonna be coming physically on site, and we'll be chatting with them and making sure that they're on board with all of the changes. I'm sure they will be. But yeah, we'll have an opportunity to work with them really quickly. It's gonna be here before we know it.
Right, yeah. Okay, good. No, I didn't know. I've been out of town, so I didn't know you guys were together Friday. Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you, David, for doing that. So yeah, build it what you guys think it might look like, and see where it goes.
Yeah, and I know we talked about getting me on a quarterly update to the board plan, and then I also had some discussions about sort of how to allocate the landfill revenue. Have exchanged some emails this weekend with David and Ed/Matt, and just to start talking about policy and start talking about being consistent about certain things with the revenue, and what the board prefers to see for that. So I think maybe for your second meeting in October, it would be good if we could have a wider agenda for some things to talk about, if that sounds good to you.
Sounds great.
We're going to be talking a little bit about fund balance classifications, what you feel is committed for future years. Reserved is what you have sort of in your existing financial system, but policies around that. So I think we'll have a little bit of work to take care of.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melanie. Thank you, David.
Is that grant report gonna be in the town book? That's something you plan on adding, is it?
I haven't even ever thought of that myself. I don't,
It'll obviously have to be a snapshot of when the book gets printed, right? It won't be
yeah, I don't think about that. I'll give you that, you can.
just on the mull over.
Yep, I'll overlook at it. Great thing for you guys in the finance committee too, to sort of bat that around a little bit. Probably. I don't know why it wouldn't. I don't know if it would be that, or if it could be a
Condensed down, so
a page or two. I think that's, what have we been doing, Matt, the last year or two on grants? We haven't dedicated any space at all. Okay, so definitely we should. What the format looks like, probably a very generic.
I think it just shows people that the government's working for them, you know?
Yeah.
That they're going after the money to
Right.
help the town and
Yeah.
not going out of their pockets.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned them in the letter I write, but there's nothing like this.
We haven't had fast numbers
No,
that
nothing.
tie
you know,
back to
with
something.
Like an accounting spin on it where it looks
Yeah.
good, yeah.
Okay, good point. All right,
All right, thank you. Next we have town appraisal of Baker Mac and Jesse.
Okay, so I just wanted to follow up with you at this meeting here tonight. So I presented you an initial proposal August 18th at your meeting. Just kind of a brief memo in terms of where potentially we could slot a project in, my company in particular. We just kind of left it certainly with no action necessarily. Certainly you're down one board member here tonight, so I don't think it's necessarily appropriate to take action.
Yeah.
At least wanted to appear in front of you if you had any questions, any follow-up. One item that I'm thinking of, and don't mean to put David Barlow on the spot necessarily, but you may want to inquire with him internally where your reappraisal fund currently sits. So the state of Vermont ultimately reimburses you on a per parcel basis annually. And most of the time that is ultimately what pays for a reappraisal. It doesn't come directly out of your, and I know this is a unique situation where you don't have a municipal tax ultimately in this community, but just to kind of see where that reappraisal fund ultimately is. Potentially that helps you to make a decision here. We've talked a little bit whether or not you're going to put out more of an RFP, request for proposal, to see ultimately what it brings, or whether or not you feel like it's appropriate to just get the reappraisal process slotted in, but again, I wanted to appear in front of you here tonight if you had anything to follow up on, and certainly don't expect any action to be taken here tonight.
What do you think?
No, what about?
So, thank you very,
Yeah.
very much. Yeah, without all the full board, that would be too big a decision. We have plenty of time. I think it's important with that amount of money probably to do an RFP.
Yeah.
I think that the townsfolk would probably expect us to do that. But I want to see it move and happen. And I know you would be willing to help us a little bit along that road. David does have those figures, so I
It's
don't,
usually on the monthly.
yeah, I don't
report,
think
so I
it's
was
gonna be on the
looking
spot
to
at all.
see.
I think he'll proudly raise his hand and answer that one.
It's just something I haven't necessarily spoken with him
Yeah.
directly about, but it's just to add into your decision-making process, certainly. And I see my ability to be able to leave you in a tentative spot for 2028. Certainly, I can do that here for a period of time. I would say, hopefully within the next couple of months or so, maybe we'll have some more clarity on it, just in terms of holding your place in line for a period like that. And then the other thing I'll just mention is, if you did need assistance in creating an RFP, certainly either agencies like BLCT can potentially assist with that.
Okay.
It may not be obviously appropriate for me to
Right.
help you to draft an RFP where
Yeah.
ultimately I'm going to respond to that RFP, but I'll certainly work at your discretion.
So with the rules that we're under from the state, and the mandate to do this, I can't remember that detail of, is there a timeline? Or do they give us? How much time do they give us?
I don't know. I mean, ultimately, they want to see you put a plan in place, sooner rather than later. But
Okay.
without naming any other communities, named here, I can tell you that I'm aware of communities that have been out of reappraisal compliance since 2018 that still haven't done anything.
Okay.
So I don't think that there's necessarily going to be a punishment involved here, but I think for your sake, and also reappraisal can be a mechanism to help to mitigate any major impacts to education tax as well. So you may find ultimately that equalizing assessments ultimately will help you to kind of stabilize your education rate at the same time. So although we talk about not a municipal benefit from a tax end from doing something, it may ultimately have an educational tax benefit when you're able to stabilize that rate ultimately.
Makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
And it's every, 6 years or 8 years?
They're moving to more of like a 6-year cycle where the coefficient of dispersion is now the new trigger. So anything that is north of a 20% coefficient of dispersion is going to trigger a mandate to do a reappraisal. And again, the state is realistic in the sense of they know that you're not going to be able to put a plan in place to reappraise for next year, even though you may be out of compliance now. They ultimately just want to see, well, what is that plan? Is it to do a reappraisal in 2-3 years? You have a plan in place, that would be sufficient.
Okay. That answers my question. That's okay. All right, yeah, let's put this on an agenda, maybe within the next month when we have a full board and make a decision, the first level decision, so probably with an RFP, and push that down the road and see where we get to.
Perfect.
Thank you, Matt.
Awesome.
Yep.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Yep.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks for coming.
Oh, happy to do it. You caught me on my way back. I did my trifecta today, so I went to Barton, Jay, Troy.
That's on the way home. So.
Right, perfect. Thank
Northeast
you.
Kingdom route.
That's right.
Yeah.
You take care. Have a good evening.
You too.
All right, number 7 is the GoGov contract. A little bit of background on this. I've been emailing you some on it, but we explained to the GoGov, Maxwell did, that wouldn't be able to start until the next budget cycle pay, so they're not gonna bill until the 27 fiscal year. So essentially, you're gonna get some months free to use the software. And there's some emails I printed out and then the contract you asked for, Carrie.
Cause that one actually had the date in it.
Yeah, that's in that pile for both of you.
So, you can have that if you want. Yep.
So essentially, they're gonna let us use it for free, so either, the planning commission has talked about it in their meetings recently. The
So,
new EMD, I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
yeah,
He's talked about doing something like this,
Right.
so,
so the word free means free and never shall pay, or they understand we don't have it in our current fiscal year budget and are gonna bill us for it after next July.
no, it'll start July 1st for the ensuing year.
The 4,400, we get a bill for the 4,400.
Mhm.
Not for work performed, but for the fiscal year.
Yes,
Okay,
yeah, I had that conversation with her.
thank you.
Mhm.
Excellent. Wow, that's,
Mhm.
can't beat that.
Right? So, yeah, I mean, people can, as they come into the community center, we can have, stuff posted, we can post it on the school board, we can, we can get people to start signing up, and then these guys can do an onboarding and whomever, if the planning commission wants to do it, or have its own group that does it, its own committee that sets it up,
So this is it right here.
and that's the contract, yes.
So do you,
Of the-
wanna go for that tonight?
Oh, that's not it.
Where you
There
looking
another one
for
here?
signatures?
No. This one's got the date in it that she put in it. So everything else is the same. But it's just
Yeah,
this page has the actual date in it versus.
oh, yeah,
Nothing.
yeah.
Yes.
So is this something we wanna just jump in the water?
I think we should. They may do the onboarding and they may, get into it and decide it's not for us. I'd have to go back and double check if we can cancel it or we're in it for the full year. But this gets us started until
Right,
July 1.
right.
And we can start getting people, because then July 1st, you've hopefully got 800 phone numbers or emails or 1,000.
And then we would have to talk about how we wanna do that.
Mhm.
Postcards
Yeah.
or with.
The town
websites
report.
Or town report, yeah, all of the above, town meeting,
Mhm,
okay, and just keep building
mhm,
as people want, right, it's there up to them.
mhm. Yeah, and they've got, 6 months, however long it takes to get it up and running. I don't think it would take long. I think it's more gonna be learning how to create, things in it.
Mhm.
And then we'll have it for snowstorms and road closures, and
Right,
as long as we have some people to send it to.
yep, is Deb, she with us?
She was, yep, she is.
Deb-
Yes.
Deborah?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay,
anything to add, should we be acting now?
because in an email received from GoGov, which basically stated that it would be free
Yeah,
use
hold
of
on
the
just a second.
software now.
Okay.
I think absolutely. It will give us this next 6 months or so to be able to get this out to our residents, to be able to start getting the data. So that come effective July 1st. Hopefully we should be right off and running with our complete database, or with as many individuals who we have had. But it's going to give us enough time for us to be able to get going and get it out to our residents. I think so. It's free.
Okay.
If
And learn
wasn't
it
for
as
that,
well.
then I would say no, wait till next year.
Right, that's kind of where we got a couple
Mhm.
weeks
Yeah.
ago, but
Mhm.
Matt
Once we
Maxwell,
get to play
go.
around with that, get used to it, and we're gonna know how it works prior to actually implementing it live.
Okay. I'm good if everybody else is. We
Mhm.
should make sure we do that, a motion
Mhm. Yep.
for the pay.
Yep, I make a motion to accept the GoGov citizen notification and alert to start getting it up and going. But the contract initial subscription period will begin July 1st, 2026 for an annual fee of $4,400.
I second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We can do this one here, right?
So, Mr. Chair, if this gets going July 1, then it still won't be active until then, obviously.
Nope, we're gonna use it. We're gonna start using it.
Oh, really?
Yep, they said that, because it's,
Yeah, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you too well.
no, yeah, I know, and this was low. Nope, the Samantha at GoGov, I've communicated with her and Matt and Ed have as well, and they're gonna let us start with it as soon as we start the onboarding process. Somebody will learn how to do it, a group or whomever. Will learn how to, input the information, send out the alerts, create everything, because you can add links in it to businesses or Coventry Fall Festival or anything like that.
And what does onboarding mean?
Just, uploading the program and learning to use it.
Who's gonna push the information? So people have to subscribe, it's a free subscription, is that correct?
Free to the residents. The
Right.
town's gonna pay
The town's gonna pay,
the subscription.
but the people, the end user, the residents,
Mhm.
don't have to pay for that.
Correct.
It's like VT alert.
Mhm.
But who's gonna send the information out? Have you figured, have you got that far yet?
We haven't got that far yet. So whether it's Ed or as the town administrator doing it, or the planning commission. Cause there's been different people groups that have talked about the town needing something like this,
How is this gonna be different than VT alert?
specific to Coventry.
So
Yeah.
one won't replace the other.
No, you can have both.
Well, probably some of the information will be duplicate then.
Probably.
In other words, if there's another tanker, God forbid, on the high, over
Mhm.
here on the main road. The state police bring something, send something out, and you guys may send something out.
Correct. But we could also send it specific to a radius around the incident, where we tell them people that they have to either shelter in place or evacuate or anything like that.
Can you force it out if they're in the area?
I didn't understand that.
So if people are traveling here from wherever, they're passing through. And there's an explosion or an evacuation, can you force people's phones? I'm assuming it's gonna go over people's wireless devices,
Yeah, but they've gotta have subscribed,
so you just can't force it.
right?
It's information.
Right, people, yeah, but VT alert is emergency, I think it's important enough.
Mhm.
Right.
Right, they'll get everybody.
We have a question or
Oh.
something from Deb also here.
Shoot, Deb.
Now, just to further explain to Chris, the big difference with this, Chris, is like for our elections, we're gonna be able to send a notice out to our residents. Don't, remember, it's time to vote. If there's a road that's gonna be closed due to culvert replacement, that doesn't go out on VT alert. That'll go out on this GoGov to those residents so that they can be aware of the road closure coming up prior to the road closure. So that's a lot of the big specifics that this is going to be able to give to our residents versus the Vermont alert that does big traffic jams and accidents and that's.
I can't hear.
It's more localized.
Yeah.
That's what I think she's getting.
Yeah.
at. It's just-
So we can send out reminders for town meeting, or we can send out that, Route 14 is gonna be closed when they change the culvert. That type of stuff we can send out.
Sorry, sir, I just wanna make sure
Yep.
that,
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, we want everybody to know about it, because now we gotta get them signed up.
Carrie, I know you've done a lot of legwork on all that project, so I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And thank you, Deb, too. You guys did good again.
Yeah.
Good.
Now we gotta decide we gotta talk to people and see if anybody wants to do it.
Yeah.
Reach out to the.
Yeah.
Number 8, we have the local hazard mitigation plan, and there's a document there for you to sign. It's required by the state to adopt so we can receive grants.
Okay, give me a little more than that. Where did Matt leave us?
And I did ask him a little bit more about that. He said everything was in place for that. It just needed to sign that document.
So we've been talking about this, and this is a requirement from the state.
Yeah, in order to receive grants.
Right. Mm, yeah, we've done that, yeah. You,
I make a motion to approve the certificate of local adoption. Oh, let's see. Local hazard mitigation plan update. As presented.
yep, I second that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Business tonight.
Without this, we don't have this.
Amazing.
22nd.
Okay,
Number 9 is the personnel policy update. Thank you. And I gave you the personnel policy there. I have a list here just to go over with you.
of the adjustments,
Yeah. Here, the first one is section 8. That's
Mhm.
hours of service.
okay,
And we just made sure the wording was correct, how you wanted it for first period in April to the last period in October for the 4-day work week for the road crew.
for the summer hours, yep,
Yep.
okay,
And section 7, it should be updated wages. We got this off a 25-26 approved wage sheet.
okay. And so what we had decided back then was that we were just including full-time town employees with us for this personnel policy. So that gives us the range, right? And then that'll get updated annually, every cost of living.
But it'll get updated annually, but we don't always update this annually, or will we do that? Go over it every year?
So this should be as good business practice updated
Every
annually.
year.
That's one of those things that will trigger that. So
Okay.
automatically come because you'll have to get in there.
I was gonna say, otherwise it needs a different wording. Yep.
Yep.
Bless you.
Yep.
Okay.
Section 21 for the holidays. Matt and I made sure they were all there for in terms of state holidays, and we added Juneteenth in there and put that up as a state holiday, so.
How are we at 13? What am I missing here? Thought it was 11.
We added Juneteenth and then confirmed the others.
When was like Bennington Battle Day or Indigenous Peoples' Day added, maybe? That might be one that was added.
Maybe because it was 11 and then. Okay.
Was it was Columbus Day previously on it?
For the work I did on it, I just added
Juneteenth, yep.
And then we confirmed those, so I know Indigenous People Day was on there before I got here.
Okay, all right. Good with that.
And then the last one, maybe a little confusing, but we were looking at this, we just thought we'd mention it to you, section 23. The sick leave pay is at 4 weeks, and we were just didn't know if you wanted to review it. We were unsure if that was accurate for what you wanted. I think we were talking about some sick days, so it came up, so Matt and I were just discussing it. Thought you could review it and see if it was what you wanted.
What, is there a concern or a
What did you-
specific question?
How did you start that? Did you say 4 weeks?
Yeah, so if you look at section 23, it says 4 weeks, right, for the sick leave pay?
No, I got 40 hours,
Oh, okay.
so maybe it's a different.
Is it
Um,
on the next page?
Maybe, oh, yeah, we go.
4 weeks.
Full-time employees will receive sick pay. Sick leave pay at the employee's regular rate. Full-time employees may accrue sick leave up to 4 weeks.
I don't think there was a concern.
So that must be just a rollover.
Yeah, I just want to make
Yeah.
sure it was accurate for
Mhm.
what
Yeah.
you wanted for your policy.
I think that's where we wanted to be, and a couple of reasons are, people get sick and injured at home, and 4 weeks is a month. Seemed like a reasonable spot for us to be a year or two ago, I guess, Carrie, whenever we did that. But and it gave a little more cushion so that you could, if you didn't use any this year, you could roll that up over, but only out to that month. Because then you're really potentially impacting your budgets if you go much beyond that, if somebody were to have a need. While we're doing so, just a little bit of housekeeping, I just noticed on section 22, there's a typo right there that you could just.
Okay.
I got one.
Section 22.
Yeah, it says section 222, so you just,
Oh, okay.
just to clean it up. But I think we're good on that 4-week cap.
Okay.
Do we have any more?
Oh, that's all.
Okay, I got one for discussion. Overtime. So
Really, yeah.
Number 30. So in accordance with the Fair Labor Standard Act, the town compensate all non-exempt full-time employees at the rate of 1.5 hours for each hour actually worked in excess of 40 hours and or work in excess of 8 hours. Well, when they're doing 10-hour days, I think we had this conversation last year. When the summer, when they're working 10-hour days, are they getting 8 overtime hours, even though they're only putting in 40 hours?
No. David's still with us, but no.
These guys know that, but the next, if somebody gets done and somebody new comes on or we expand. I read this as great in the summertime, hour 9 and 10, I'm getting overtime.
So, good point. We talked about that a lot and we were very clear on that with the road crew. So maybe there could be some more specificity to that.
Or we stop it at work in excess of 40 hours in any work week and just end it there.
Well, and another part of that conversation is the town administrator is a salaried position. There is no overtime.
But the road crew.
But the road crew does, but that's not in here. So maybe that is part of some of that.
So what's non-exempt full-time? So that's the salaried? No, I don't remember what, then,
It's defined at the beginning somewhere.
I know, I remember reading it now, but I don't.
So if I recall correctly, the town administrator is an exempt position.
Okay, so the,
David got it.
yeah, so the road crew though, when they're working in the summer, 10 hours a day, this says they're gonna get 8 hours of overtime, even though they're only working 40 hours.
Don't sign that.
I say we stop at for each hour actually worked in excess of 40 hours in any work week. Stop there.
Make a different policy for summertime hours, over 10 hours.
This is the problem for trying to be nice. And so the Fair Labor Standard Act is state. And the state is telling you that if you instruct somebody to work more than their 8 hours, you have to compensate them for that at this amount. The road crew is requesting a 4-day work week for their benefit. We've agreed to that at their straight rate. Whether we have them sign something specific to that, maybe a point of order, or maybe we put something in here, I'm not sure the best way to do that. Potentially, that's it might even be an attorney question,
Can email VLCT tomorrow.
if,
We
yeah,
can table this to the next meeting.
yeah. Because if they were to challenge us per se, an employee challenged that, then, so yeah, that's a great, so let's table that, shoot it out to VLCT, include
Mhm.
you guys to get it. Effort.
The Fair Laborers Act only covers 40-hour week. I don't think they touch base on 8-hour days. I think they just cover 40-hour week. That's something to look into, but
I know, I can't remember it.
I don't believe they mandate over 8 hours overtime in a day. I think it's just a
What
40.
you were saying? So ask that
Mhm.
in your email,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll also, since I'm here, I'll just add that, yeah, that is true. It's hours worked over 40 hours. And there is no requirement in the state of Vermont to compensate anybody for working in excess of 8 in a single day. If you were in California, you might have a different problem. But that's my understanding of the law, and where sometimes you get a little sticky is it's hours worked. So if somebody, say, is sick on a Monday, but then they work 35 hours, it's still under 40. And so I don't know how your policy deals with that, but you're not going to run afoul of the law if you delete that second little section.
So it might be just that easy then.
I don't have enough service to look stuff up.
It depends on how nice you want to make
Well,
it.
right,
I think.
so why don't we table it,
Mhm.
you willing to do that, a little bit of effort in you
Yep.
guys, and just see where we're at and bring it back
Bring it back to
the
the
next meeting, and we'll clean it up. Good conversation,
Mhm.
thank you.
I think that was all that I met. Yep.
So for those changes, do you need to sign that policy or anything?
Not yet,
We're gonna wait,
You're gonna wait.
Yeah.
till next week.
And then
Yep.
it'll cover all.
yep,
All right, number 10 is a town garage update. I got some updates for you. They're proposing to move it across the driveway from where originally it was gonna be attached. The new garage, but the proposal is to move it across, and for the information I have on that, it's a space thing, like if they were gonna attach it. It wouldn't leave enough room for circulation, so it would give them more room across the driveway, and it would help with better truck circulation and better space. So, that's the extent of what I have for the information on that, but that's, the latest proposal.
do we have any paperwork on that?
I can see, I don't have anything.
Not right now.
Well, that's from road, or that's some information on, some stuff, some updates, so there may be a little in there, but I also could look into it and get maybe a copy of like the print proposal that he did, like a blueprint proposal for you, see if he has that.
Have you kept up with this stuff? I haven't.
Not that part, no.
I have some to expand on it too for that.
What you got?
So, we also approved $3,100 for design of the second septic system, because originally they're gonna use the septic system if they attach to the garage, but if they go across the road, it would take a second septic system. And, also they're, for either, they would have to done this, they're doing some, 15,600 for geotech services was approved. For, subsurface information to provide like foundation and earthwork information for the proposal. And that was both through Roy Ward, and that's the paperwork you have there.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't remember what the number was that was approved at town meeting day. Do you remember? Up to get all this information together.
I think it was quite large. I think it was up to 200,000 or thereabouts.
Mm.
Um. So. Is, is Mr. Cobb still out at the commission?
No, he was at the meeting, so I should have mentioned that to you. We had the one meeting, Dan Webster was there.
Good,
Jim Cobb and the structural engineer and the architect, Matt and I, and the road crew. And that was the next update. Tomorrow at 10 AM, we're going to see the Bargain garage, their newer garage, because the way Jim explained it was, it's pretty much the same thing, maybe with a few minor adjustments, and it's fairly new.
yeah,
So I set a meeting with the town clerk there, and they're gonna meet us there tomorrow at 10 AM. It's Matt Maxwell and myself, and then Dan Webster, Jim Cobb, and then whoever comes from the road crew, definitely Nathan, so.
okay,
So I can report back on that to you, whatever we get for information there, and
Mhm.
I've been in touch with Roy Ward, he's the architect, so that's what the additional approvals were. But there may be a blueprint and like a picture, and that stuff doesn't always print out the best, Matt was telling me, so I can email it to you tomorrow morning.
Okay.
So you can at least get an idea where.
Where they were, they're looking for.
And Dan was at the meeting, so I was gonna involve him for more information.
so, let me step back, so. The new concept or adjusted concept is to build a second standalone building
Exactly.
and not have it an addition to the current garage up there. So still the same site, just
Yeah.
working around the site a little bit. But so the square footage hasn't changed.
As far as I can find out about that.
I think it was okay, 3 bays. That's why I asked about
Sounds
Jim,
right.
because Jim's like our local resident expert on this, and has been so gracious to step in here and help us. But I know he's had some physical challenges, so
I know he was pretty excited for tomorrow, because he emailed me again, so he's ready for the meeting tomorrow.
so he's up and running, okay. So it's really you're just sharing your information, giving us an update.
Yeah,
Good.
Go get through tomorrow and get us another update, and maybe, if Jim is up to it, I can touch base with him sometime too, let's haul him in here and take some of the heat off you.
sure.
He really is, he's up on this stuff, so it's good to have everybody hearing him.
Are you thinking like the next meeting, maybe, or meeting,
If it's ready, wherever you guys are, whatever makes sense for you guys. But yeah, it's been a little while, and it's obvious that there's a lot of moving parts, so it might be a good time.
Okay.
Mhm.
Great. Hey,
Thanks for all the work on that, Ed.
Sure.
That's a lot.
number 11 is the community center cleaning.
Just a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Here.
Yep.
But you're not looking at abandoning the current building,
No,
are you gonna need infrastructure in a second building, restrooms, a break area? All that, or I you got that far yet?
I'm gonna see what the proposals are. The current garage provides everything that we need. And so what we were doing was looking at the need for potentially more inside space. The town has, got more equipment than we used to have, and it's sitting outdoors. There's some reasons why we're looking at the proposals. There's a lot of cost just in that work, the blueprints and the proposals and looking at the site. And so a couple of years ago, when the town was beginning this conversation, we got ahead of ourselves, I think, a little bit. And some of those thoughts and opinions that were coming at us were sort of really inadequate to the realities of what it costs to build such a structure. So we slowed it down. We had the discussion at town meeting last year. We got approval, the nod from the town to explore up to the spot that gave the town blueprints and costs associated with the project. For looking at how we would fund that as a town. So there's costs in that. That's what we're doing, but so we may get two proposals. I don't know. They might do one or two. We can push back. We can look at it, but I think we have to let the group get us there, not do it in a meeting, but out there in the world and visiting these sites is very good. I know Jim's done that already, taking the whole group to see, what these towns have already experienced for themselves is a good idea.
What is the difference between the current garage and the proposed new concept? How far apart the building space, and within like a few feet walking distance? And I know you said it was across the driveway from each other.
Yeah, it would be, I'm not a very good estimate for this, but probably like a couple 100 feet or more. Has to have plenty of room for truck circulation, and for whatever they're using for equipment to move around.
We'll have to see the plans. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Number 11 is the community center cleaning contract.
Yeah, I didn't know if we wanted to sorry.
Oh, sure, I was just gonna tell you just a little bit before. I know that
Yeah,
you
go
brought this
for
to
it.
my attention for like a general discussion and just to revisit talking about it, but before you started your general discussion, I just wanna mention if maybe it's a good idea for whatever you needed me to do, to sit down with Mylene, who currently cleans, and go over what's being done or what, if anything else needs to be done, and just the whole process, so. Just wanted to mention that and throw it in for your discussion.
I mean, it's been a couple of years since we've done it, and I asked about, and they don't seem to find a contract. I know in the past, or with the last cleaning, it was specific to, do the windows twice a year
Yeah.
and different things, and I don't think we have, can't put our hands on that for this one.
Yeah.
And it's been a couple of years. I don't know how Mylene does. I don't know, we put an RFP, she may get it again, she may not want it, she hasn't backed out of it.
So. You haven't talked to Mylene then about it?
No, actually, I sent an email to see whatever she had for information.
Okay, good.
She just, had the same thing. She didn't have anything in specific, for like a contract or anything, and. There are some minutes there that Matt had me print out for you,
Yeah.
that from like 2023, should be the second to last thing. It should be number 6.
I don't have that.
What's there?
In the
It
minutes?
should be
Yeah.
10/16/2023.
Oh, that's 25.
Oh, I do. I got.
Yeah.
All right.
And
All
it's
right.
number 6, and it's just where the board okayed it to hire someone, so that's the most information we had on it.
Because I know in the past, there was specifics to what they were supposed to do.
Right. Bum, 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 bum.
I will say
Okay.
there are two VLCT forms that are supposed to be completed for contractors of that nature. More specifically, because she is personally contracted and not a corporation contracted with the town, that we are supposed to have completed and in her file. When we go through our worker comp audit, that is one thing that the LCT pulls, and every single year we get a little violation for that because we never have that for her. We had it for the prior cleaning individuals, but we do not have them for her.
Gotcha.
I have a hard time on VLCT. I don't know if you can find the form and forward it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
there's two different ones. They actually have a standard contract form that you can use that would be sufficient as far as explaining as far as what your relationship is and what their relationship is. And the RFP that you originally sent out, that should be incorporated within that contract so that both parties know exactly what job specifics they are supposed to be providing, whether it's a weekly basis, whether it's a monthly basis, whether it's 2 times a year. You can incorporate that with their contract, and then there's another form that they sign as well. And
Yeah.
another piece we really should be looking into as well, whether or not there are other people coming to clean with her. We do not have workers' comp insurance. She does not have workers' comp insurance. So we've got possibly some more liabilities for the town.
She must have a liability insurance though.
She has liability, but that does
Mhm.
not cover if she
Right,
has
yep.
an employee here working. That sets us up as being the one who would ultimately be paying whatever the cost would be.
Okay.
So, thank you, Deb.
Thank you, Deb.
So Ed, there's a couple of important points there, right? Can you and Deb sit when she's here and get that form? Talk with Mylene, see if you can set up an opportunity for yourself.
Okay.
To have those discussions and then bring it back. And see where we're at and where we should be, need to be on the professionalism side of things. Is that good?
That sounds good.
And then see if we can get there, to have that next conversation, either next meeting or soon. Good.
So, okay.
Good points, Deb. Deb, did you hear all that?
Yes, I did. Yep,
Okay.
so I'll touch base with Ed on Thursday when I'm back in the office.
Thank you, Deb. So
Yeah,
Deb
you're
needs
welcome.
a lot of good information for like the forms, and
Yeah.
then I can sit down with Mylene and just go over her process and what she does, and then, you know, bring it to you and see if that's sufficient for what you want done and everything.
Carrie,
That sounds good.
sounds good.
The Fair Labor Act, it just says over 40 hours.
Yeah.
And
Perfect.
any regular fixed recurring period, 168 hours, blah, blah, blah.
Awesome.
So it might be, I'll still contact them tomorrow, but it might be just taking off that last little bit of line.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm. Thank you very much.
Other business, I've got 2 here for you. The ice jam study that you okayed last time, I've been in contact with Kathleen from NVDA and Andy from Dubois King, and they're thinking October 21st for a meeting, and I just want to okay that with you.
What day of the week is that? Do you know? It's a weekday, I would assume, for those companies.
It is a
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Do we know what time?
Well, I was gonna ask you that too. They didn't mention a time yet, but I didn't know if you wanted like 5 PM or whatever you think's best for town residents.
We had talked about evening meeting in the last meeting, just so hopefully more people can come.
Whatever makes sense,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay, so check with them.
check
again,
with
but they're
them.
Probably gonna say check with you. so-
Well,
Yeah.
I think the answer for us is they're the pros,
Okay,
whatever they think is best.
To get the best response.
Yeah,
yeah, the best turnout. Okay, yeah, and then I'll work with Matt and we'll get out the information, you know, a town-wide meeting or whatever.
that'll come on us pretty quick.
Mhm.
Yeah,
October, what?
exactly.
21st.
21st, yeah,
And this is something that GoGov would work well to push out.
okay,
So we have to advertise that. and-
Yeah.
yeah. I'll
So
give
once
them
you get that,
minutes.
we're gonna have to look at a postcard to send out.
And the second one was just a general reminder of September 30th is the last date for the conflict of interest training there. I think some have sent it in, some haven't, so I'm just making a
Did
general
you do it?
announcement for everyone.
How long does it take?
40, under an hour.
Okay, so it's easy, you
Yeah.
follow the link,
Yeah, you follow the link, you
Do it on
listen
the
to
phone.
it, do a little.
kind of do it on the phone.
I had a hard time finding it on the VLCT. Or no, is it not VLCT? Yeah, I think it was through VLCT, but yeah, we can find the link and email it to you.
Figure it out. I think Deb sent it to me.
Yeah.
Sometimes they
Yes.
work it on a phone.
Yes,
I've spoke to Deb, I'm gonna give her a list of everyone that's done it, so hopefully we get everybody in by September 30th, because that's the deadline.
So the list of people that are requested or required to take that are who?
It's in an email.
That's the list, is that all of you guys? All town officials, elected town officials?
It's
Yep.
related to boards who make decisions. So select board, school board, planning commission, cemetery commission, myself as town clerk, the treasurer,
Good.
the town administrator.
Town
JP,
administrator?
Yep,
Okay, so employees
yes.
also, we
Yeah.
need to read, I need to read that again. Road crews?
No, I don't think road
I
crews.
don't think they were on the list. JP's,
Okay, we
Yeah,
need to. make sure we're
JP's,
looking at
like
that.
your BCA.
We can't control those guys.
Mhm.
We can control those guys.
Mhm. Yeah, actually, I think I did do it on my phone, so yeah.
Okay,
I had a hard time finding it through my phone, but if you go to the email and do the link.
so there's a planning commission guy here who will say, hey. Help communicate on that on you guys' end, because it'll be an issue. It's a state requirement. In
Correct.
cemetery also.
When do you guys meet again, planning commission? Is it like the first?
That first Tuesday.
Deb, thanks for keeping us on target for this. It's like herding cats sometimes, and I get it, and it's appreciated.
I tried, but you're welcome.
Yes, thank you for working. with
Not
me.
till October 7th.
All right, so I'll do mine, so I'm not on the hot seat.
Mhm.
Send it to.
Thanks for doing that, Ed.
Sure.
What else you got?
Good with other business, approval of minutes for 9/8/2025.
Mhm.
We didn't log that thing. All right,
Mhm.
good.
Mhm. I make a motion to approve the minutes for the select board meeting, Town of Coventry, Monday, September 8th, 2025, as presented.
I second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So. In reviewing that, it just reminded me of an issue. And so we can't, take action or anything on that tonight, but I want people to think about it. We got an incredible amount of information and good information from Kathleen last time.
Yes.
And so it sort of made me go home and think about the process. So like a lot of other things that we've talked about administratively and through process, what is our process? One of the things that came up in that discussion was, hey, Kathleen, great, do it for us every year, hit us every year with it. So new people coming on the board and we're sitting here, get it, keep in the game. With that said, I wonder if we shouldn't expand that conversation. What happens when there's no Kathleen, right? It's too important, I think, to just let that potentially slide. And so the seed that I'll plant tonight is think about that. And it's probably, I think right now, that's I don't know what I would call her position, volunteer. So she's volunteering her time and efforts for the town to keep this thing afloat, which is wonderful, and it can stay that way. But, right, I think the conversation needs to evolve a little bit, and just like assistants are important, right? We've been having those discussions too. So somebody's out for a long time or something happens and they're no longer available for us. So maybe maybe just think about that.
Mhm.
And I don't know. It's probably, she's acting as a conduit, I think, of all, and she's volunteering time at the school. And so probably a good conversation would be with Praneet,
Somebody in the school,
It-
because it's the school.
what their
money.
thoughts are, what their opinions are, what they think. Maybe they have, you know, Kathleen could, I don't know, you know.
And there's
I-
somebody she talks to over there anyway, so
Yeah.
whether it's the secretary or
Getting
the.
them sort of named in
Mhm.
reality on a piece of paper somewhere.
Mhm.
At least to start having
Mhm.
that conversation, have that show up
Mhm.
somewhere. When you do your reorganization meetings, every first meeting after the
Town
the town
meeting.
meeting, it would be another one of those on that list. So it's an obvious issue for you.
Mhm.
Right now, it
Mhm.
doesn't show up.
Okay.
Hey, Scott, David's trying to get your attention.
There is an existing memorandum of agreement or letter of agreement between the select board and the school board regarding the fund and the procedure to use for spending money and reimbursement and all that. So as part of what you're considering, we'll get that, make sure Ed has a copy that you can put that in front of you too.
Yeah, oh, see, that's what I'm talking about. I don't even know that. I've been around a long time, so I think.
But that doesn't, of course, I like the idea of adding it to the list of positions to think about as well. So
Yeah, so thank you, Ship,
That's
that would be a springboard for us. There's a document, so then we can talk about it and, you know, make it better, make it so it can't fail. Yeah, thank you, David. There you go.
Mhm.
That's everything that I have.
No warrant, so Deb's gone or not, so I'm gonna see those probably. Deb,
They said Thursday.
Thursday.
You'll
she
see
said.
those on Thursday.
okay, I won't forget this time.
Okay.
You got in trouble today.
You
I
okay?
apologize, David, to you for that, my fault.
Is
Okay,
that it?
Yep.
You done?
yep,
Motion to adjourn.
I second, all in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Have a good night.
You too.
Thanks all. Oh, pretty official notes. Can
No,
we frame that?
we can.
Should we keep,